Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Wills, and the title of my talk is "Today is the Tomorrow You Worried About Yesterday." The premise is that your biggest adversary in the resolution of any dispute is your own mind. I'm not talking about you as mediators, but I'm talking about the participants in the mediation. The problem is that they usually inevitably have a personal inability to shift their perspective or their thought process. This is problematic because the reason that they're before you or with you is that they have a dispute and they have usually fairly well entrenched or intransigent points of view on the issue. The solution I'm suggesting is to question, assess, challenge, persuade, or maybe even more importantly, teach something, add some value to the discussion. From a focus perspective, obviously understanding why, the fears, the passions, not so much of the dispute. I believe that the substance of the dispute is really not that relevant. I believe, interestingly enough, that the 6-step process, we know the details of it and the flow of it, but really the essence of the issue and the problem that we have to deal with is the why for each of the individual participants and how to get them to a point of what I call true objectivity. Really what I'm talking about is getting each of the participants to a point of courage or confidence so that they can make a new decision. They can have a new perspective on the dispute at hand and come to a resolution between the two of them. I think you have to challenge personal creativity. You have to test the limits of their perspective. And I honestly believe that if there's some anxiety or some stress or some crisis in the process, it's great because that's when you really get to see the limits or the potential of people's mental flexibility. And oftentimes when you see those limits, then it helps you to understand what you can do with this person and what you're not going to be able to do with that person, and what creativity might be required to be able to get them to a point of resolution. So my conclusion is that the success or the failure of a mediation will be directly related to the amount of the following that can be accessed in the participants, in the parties. Their courage, their confidence, their curiosity, their faith, and their empathy. And oftentimes the problem that we have isn't so much in the room. Oftentimes the participants, they obviously come with their own baggage, their own predisposition. But oftentimes the real problem is the people that aren't in the room, their spouses or outside advisors who have given them advice that they just can't not listen to. Thank you.
All right. Questions?
Please.
So when you're dealing with somebody whose identity is partly wrapped up with being a person who has been in this conflict. How do you think that applies to your framework?
I'm sorry, Amanda, could you just...
So if somebody has part of their identity is wrapped up as being a person who is in this conflict.
Yes.
The conflict's been going on for a long time and it's become a part of kind of who they are.
Yes.
Somebody that fights with this other person.
Yes.
Right? How does that apply in your framework?
Well, I think that probably the majority of the times, that's exactly the situation that you have, where you have people, and so that, to me, that is the predisposition that they bring to the table, and I think that's really where there's an opportunity for through questioning. Challenging, but in a polite way, or in a non-confrontational way, to try to persuade that person to be comfortable or find courage in the possibility or the potential of shifting that perspective, shifting that point of view. And I think that unless you're my dealings are all in a business environment, so there's always a high degree of bravado, that comes. But at the end of the day, if people are challenged through questioning, they have the potential to shift those biases that they bring with them, or the predispositions, are in no way permanent, in my view. Thank you.